Hey guys, how's it going? Making my first video right now. I know this is a really odd time for me to do it. I wanted to do it under different circumstances, um, looking much more professional, um, and with a lot of stuff written down. My first video was originally going to be about Trump's impeachment, which you have a very, I wouldn't, I'm just going to call it for what it is, very partisan. I mean, if you want to call it a hoax, you can, but uh, I'll kind of define that here in a bit. I do call it partisan because, you know, the Democrats are doing it the way they should, but they're not getting him on the things they should. They went very light on his articles because there's a lot of things that he's really doing that are bad. So that aside, I'm not defending Joe Biden. Let's get that clear. Uh, what happened under the Obama administration, that is sketchy stuff. And should it be investigated? It probably should have been investigated a long time ago. Um, the fact that it's happening leading up to the election, it's a lot like the whole Hillary email thing, like the lock her up chance. Like it was never going to manifest into anything else except for a chant, um, and a slogan and a headline for him to feed off of and really ignite his base. And kind of, I mean, what we're not asking is like, why is it just Joe Biden? And I think the establishment kind of anticipated and almost let that slip. That's kind of a little thing that not many people are talking about. But um, that aside, it's very, he should be impeached for what he did to the Ukraine. Um, you do put the national security at risk by what you're doing because Russia, one, it advances more into Ukraine, and two, of course, the Ukraine is going to sit there and say that they didn't feel any pressure because you still might be president for another 4 years, and that's a conflict of interest, like type stuff. Like he knows that he has to say there's no pressure because he still might have to deal with you, and he knows that you're friends with Putin, so of course he's gonna try to get on your good side, dude. Um, so right, that's bad. I mean, anything that strengthens Russia to me is a bad thing. Um, I'm not one of those that's gonna buddy up to Putin. He's just not a good guy, and it just seems like he wants the rest of the world to be Russia. So that's where I leave that at. Unfortunately, I couldn't get too much into that. The impeachment, I'll probably still do a video on that. But um, the whole point of what that video is going to be about is kind of highlighting the fact that it's it's a sham because it's not going as hard as it should. Again, on the Democratic side, two, the Republicans are just lying to us about what really happened. Um, and three, it's just distracting the American people from what's really going on in the world. I was having this conversation. We were talking about this whole because again today, I'm sorry, today's November 4th. I'm sorry, January 4th, 2020. And Qasem Soleimani was assassinated 24 hours ago. Um, yesterday. I can't remember. I'm thinking it's the second going into was it the second going into the third? It was. So it's 2 days ago now, but it's a little bit over 24 hours. Um, Given how the what time it happened at. So Qasem Soleimani, we were talking about that. He was assassinated. Um, you know, terrorist, leader, general, high-ranking general in the Iranian, known for helping pretty much build up a terrorist group. So we're so distracted we didn't even realize that this whole stuff has been building up for the past 6 months. So I'm getting what I was trying to say is I was having this conversation. We were talking about Qasem Soleimani, and the whole Iranian thing. I was talking with one of my managers that I deal with, and um, we were talking about Qasem, and then we'll come back to Qasem, but we started talking about North Korea next, and I turned around and I told her like, oh, they haven't even stopped the nuclear testing, and she was asking me like, what are you talking about? Like, I thought we met up with him and he stopped the nuclear testing. I was like, yeah, but that was only for a couple weeks, and then Kim Jong went back to testing again, and that's not highly reported because, of course, again, we're so distracted with this whole impeachment thing, we're not talking about it. I'm sure it's on the news somewhere, but it's just getting blown over by this whole impeachment thing. So I was realizing that, and then I'm going back and forth all day today on Facebook with some people about this issue. I don't have any issue with him being dead, necessarily. I mean, and this is where it's like, oh well, and I went this really I had to bite my tongue a couple times because I really wanted to say some things, but there's this whole back and forth where it's just I think what we're missing the point is because this whole stuff's going on with Iraq at the embassy, and then Iran is being held responsible for it. This whole back and forth was going on throughout this Christmas break, and next thing you know, um, Trump takes the step to assassinate the general. You know, he's a second in the command in Iran. Assassinate him, right? And so, I mean, we get to the point where it's such an extreme action that at this point, I'm getting I was defending myself because this guy posted about how all of I all of Iran doesn't like the USA, and I was like, no, that's not true. There's protests going on that showed that 40% of people in Iran um, are starting to reflect, are starting to agree with Western ideology and opening up to democracy, and it's a growing number. And these protests were have been associated with that. Um, but that Qasem Soleimani had a 90% favorability rating amongst the people in that country. Um, and it's kind of like, and I got put on the spot where it's like, well, he was a bad guy and this and that. I understand that. I understand that to us, he's a very bad guy. I'm not saying that. But for you to not try to understand how the Iranian people don't see this guy as a war hero, because Iran, the whole this whole thing between the USA and Iran has gone back, guys, 50 years. It's been there's been a lot of things that have gone on between Iran and the USA for a long time. A lot of embassy things that have gone on. But when you kill someone high up, I mean, and the way it happened, like, I mean, this is an act of war. And again, I mean, the premise is, and I'm having to defend this, I'm having to argue against, like, well, he's a bad guy. I'm like, no, I don't disagree. He's a very bad guy. I understand that. I think we should all understand that. Vladimir Putin's a bad guy. Kim Jong Un's a bad guy. Erdogan of Turkey's he's a pretty bad guy. So I just find it really interesting that these taxes and tariffs go on. Um, and don't get me wrong. I understand in the Middle East we've lost a lot of American lives, but we've also put ourselves in the Middle East, and it drives me crazy because the whole point and what it really comes down to is all that aside, right? All Qasem Soleimani aside, uh, the point is where that's a major act. Actually, not aside, but him getting killed the way he did, that's a major act of war. And the premise is an other attack was imminent, so we had to kill him. You didn't take out a base. You didn't take out these soldiers that are. He's not going to carry out some attack. He wasn't going to do it. This is symbolic. Someone else is going to fill in his position, and everything that he established already, whatever attack he said was going to happen, still going to happen. Because this is a government we're talking about, guys. This is not a terrorist group. This is a government. And just because he was breeding terrorists, let's not forget this is still a government. And that's what makes a big difference between this whole Qasem Soleimani and al Baghdadi. They're two separate things, guys. Two very separate things. You have a general and then you have a terrorist leader. Those are two separate things. But let's also not forget that our government funds both. That's something that even Donald Trump talked about. And so the fact that a lot of these people who support him are kind of just like forgetting all that and going straight to just like supporting him. I'm just like, dude, this is the kind of stuff, this is the kind of nationalism that tears countries apart. And we can't even, again, I don't care if it was Trump or if it was Clinton, if you're doing something to keep propagating to keep us in these never-ending Middle Eastern wars, and it's gonna come and bite us in the butt, guys. How many wars do you think we're gonna get in before the rest of the world says you guys can't do this anymore? It's gonna happen. And we can't just sit here, suck all thumbs, and argue with each other about liberal, oh, conservative, all right, oh no. We have to be logical about it. That's all it has to be, guys. Um, I was a little more fired up. This is my third take trying to make this video. I was a little more fired up the first two times. Um, right now it's kind of late. I'm in my restroom right now. I'm not actually using the restroom, just so you guys know. This is, all right, I'm not using the restroom, but I'm just in here making the video. Um, yeah, guys, I'm really emotional about this because the numbers of civilians that have died and even our American soldiers, there's no point. There's really no point. The amount of money we're wasting, we need to find a way to revalue our dollar in our country and get our troops back home and get us out of these Middle East interventions and restore our reputation amongst the world because it doesn't look good, guys. And I mean, it really does matter. Um, the world is much bigger than us. If you go look at a map, man, I was looking at, I've been looking at the map recently, just, looking at all these different places and seeing how, like, all these stories, like, all the stuff that's going on. You look at a map, and the United States of America is so small, but it's just crazy to me. So we definitely have a lot. I mean, I'm not to say a lot to worry about, but we haven't been good with our allies either, and that's one thing that I can directly blame to Trump is he has not been fairly nice to our allies. He's laughing, getting laughed at NATO meetings, and he's leaving early and stuff like that. It is ridiculous, and it's not good on our country, and it's left them very irritable and very volatile. And you see the kind of, I mean, guys, there's something else we could have done. We didn't have to kill the general. Again, that's not an operational kill. It really isn't. Uh, I will I will argue anyone to that it's not an operational kill, it's a symbolic kill. Anything that he had planned, an imminent attack, isn't going to stop just because he's dead. And because Iran's already said that they're going to respond, we should be worried because they're literally telling us, oh, you didn't stop a war, we're going to do something back. So this whole premise that, oh, he stopped an imminent attack, no, he just made the attack that was going to happen twice as strong. Sorry, guys, that's what it comes down to. So that's kind of where I'm going to wrap it up right now, guys. I myself am very worried. I'm going to be praying for everybody. Even if you don't believe in all that stuff, I'm praying up for the both of us, all of us, the lot of us. I'm, I think the thing that really pissed me off, and the thing that's really got me irritated is seeing all these memes, because again, our perception, the perception the rest of the world has of us after something like this, we're kind of like joking about it, and we should be more serious about it. We could have just taken the first step to the next world war, and all these memes joking about it and glorifying it. I don't think they realize that that makes us look bad. It makes us again look like the bad guys, and this this lack of sensitivity um, is demoralizing, and I worry. I hope that people see this video and realize, hey, wow, we should take ourselves out of these wars. We shouldn't be looking at it as a partisan thing, like it goes back and forth. No, it it's just for the American people. The best thing for us is to not be sacrificing our troops and killing civilians in their homelands. So food for thought, guys. That's where I'm gonna wrap it up. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. I'm gonna be doing more political videos, a bunch of other kind of videos. This is my first video. Obviously, it's not very good. I'm in the restroom looking like this, but you're gonna get the best and the most of me. Um, but you're always gonna get an understanding person, and I'm always open to discussing with people. Um, I'm developing patience to not, curse at people and stuff like that, which I've done a really good job of. So, anyways, guys, real Alec Griffin, appreciate you guys stopping by, and catch you next time. All right.